The Northeast is recovering from a massive blizzard, 25 plus inches in most places. And in Boston, there was another storm bringing about 3 to 6 more on this particular day, the start of a joint peacekeeping mission between Russian and U.S. forces in Bosnia, which was a collaboration aimed to stabilize the area after the Bosnian War, not af the Bosnian. Oh, God, see, this is why this is just a pilot. This is pilot number 3, I hope, of Any Given Yesterday. Wait, I fucked that up. I should say, we're talking about Friday, January 12th, 1996, on Any Given Yesterday.
Let's go!
All right, hey, how's it going? Here we are with the third iteration of all the setup, and I'm coming to you from a cold broadcast palace. It's fucking freezing outside. But with a bit of a new setup, I got a brand new microphone. I have a brand new microphone cord. I have a brand new boom arm. I'm very excited. It looks quite professional, right? And so you can hear it when I do that, but it doesn't have the spring that the old cheap one had. I spent way too much money on this shit. Money I don't have. But because I am just obsessed with the fact that I get to talk into a microphone, I spent money I didn't have. So, here we are. I also messed with the mixer a little bit, so that I think the sound is better. And I say that somewhat reluctantly, but who knows? Anyways, so we're looking back today at Friday, January 20th, 1996. What a day. What a day. Very little of actual significance happened, but it's 1996, which is, just fantastic. I am very much excited to look back on days where, I was alive. Now, granted, I have quite the swath of time, but, I have some memories of this particular period, so that's nice, even though my long-term memory is just flat out gone. Most of my short-term memory, flat out gone. This is the problem with being moderately brilliant, is that there's just so much shit piling into your head that, insignificant things just find their way to shuttle their way out, leaving you a shell of a husk, if you will, of something. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, we're trying this again. And again, this is the third iteration. I only really wanted to do 3 of these, and this one has taken, you know how many times I've recorded this now? This is the third go with this episode. The third time. The first 2, again, sounded like all the others, where it just wasn't loud enough. And, I was getting some feedback, so thanks, Mike, for the feedback, where he said it sounded fine. I can't figure that out. If I've got the earpods in, earbuds, whatever you call them, headphones, and it's not loud enough for me, maybe because I'm half deaf. I mean, that might have something to do with it, but it shouldn't, because, with the old show, I could hear all of that bullshit most of the time loud and clear, with the exception of the very last episode, which was, oh, man. Oof. But anyways, here we go. So, today, we are going to be talking about Friday, January 12th, 1996. Now, again, as I said, I'm excited for, the different dates where, I can kind of cite specific things and talk about different shit that I have, firsthand knowledge of. Whereas the other stuff, the other dates, there was some in there, but, nothing. Especially once you get past, I'd say like 25, like all the days start to run together, especially when there are zero, really significant moments in your life from, say, 25 to 35. Like very little really happened in there for me that I can cite. I'm sure there was. So please feel free to correct me if you know. But yeah, so here we are. This particular Friday, there was, some stuff going on, but the thing of it is, right, I'm trying to find different ways to tackle the format so that it is not so formulaic, yet that's basically where it's going to go. History, TV, sports, that's about it, right? I mean, what else is there? Movies, music. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. But let's start with sports. Now, it is January, which means, in 96, I think we were, in the midst of the playoffs, but it's a Friday, so there's no playoff game for football. And the Patriots were in the playoffs this particular year because they did play in the Super Bowl that year, I think, 96. Yeah. 1996 Super Bowl. See, this is the other fun part about this show is that it's going to be, no, they didn't, you dum-dum. It's the fucking Cowboys. Jesus Christ, David. It was the following year, right? Patriots Super Bowl 1997? Or was it 95? Nope, it was 97. All right, so I was fucking wrong. The Cowboys won the Super Bowl that year. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was the Larry Brown MVP, the Barry Switzer Super Bowl. So it was probably that weekend, Cowboys-Niners in the NFC championship game. That's my guess. Yeah, that's funny. All right, moving on. So what we did have this particular evening, we did have the Boston Celtics. Now, if you remember, the Celtics in 96 were god-awful. God-awful. But the one saving grace for the 96 Celtics, can't talk today, so you're in for a real treat, was the immortal Dino Radja. I loved Dino Radja as a kid. Loved him. Don't ask me why. I just did. I just thought he was... It's not because I was like, oh my God, he's so good. Well, he is a Hall of Famer, Dave. But you could count on Dino Radja for a handful of things, right? 20 points, 10 boards, some mid-range jump shots, like right outside the low box. And then probably, a smoke and a beer post-game. One of my all-time favorite Celtics, and I'm being entirely honest and real. I loved him. Mainly because that team was so... I also love Sherman Douglas. Sherman Douglas was also, just fucking fantastic, but not great. This particular... Oh, God, this is so bad. But this particular evening, they were playing... somebody. Let's actually figure out who they were playing. Because I did not actually put that in the script. So, there you go. How about that, huh? Wow. We're off to a banging start here, David. I do know that they lost. That much I can tell you. That much I can tell you. Boy, this is just bad. Let's mess around with this. Let's mess around and try to figure out, what to do, and then, all right. So we're going to January. This makes for a riveting podcast, huh? Where I'm doing research live. Plus, we can talk about some of the other games that took place in the NBA. All right, they played the Knicks. So, how timely, huh? Because now I can say fuck the Knicks. Here's the worst part about the Knicks. Their fans. It's not even the Knicks themselves, it's their fans. Like, wow, are they fucking annoying. Like, historically annoying. And you've got, like they don't remember anything beyond 10 minutes ago. That's the problem with Knicks fans. They haven't won dog shit in, what was it, since 1972. So that would be 54 years? I think it was 72. And now we got Knicks fans like, oh, they're the best team ever. They're going to get waxed by San Antonio. Just putting that out there. But on this particular night in 1996, they did manage to squeak by the Celtics 105-92. Led by 37 points from Patrick Ewing, who is the best New York Knick in the history of New York Knicks. All right? It is not Jalen Brunson. So there you go. 37 points. 37, 13 boards, 5 blocks from Patrick Ewing. Oof, man. What a night. But I mean, that's how he rolled. He was one of the 50 best ever, right? They have to revisit that nonsense, too, the 50 best players of all time. I mean, that was 25 years ago, was it not? I think so. I don't know. But anyway, Dino Raja, 39 minutes, 24 points, 11 boards. 10 for 20 shooting. You can't get much more efficient than that unless you're Patrick Ewing. Dino Raja, not Patrick Ewing. But yeah, how about that? That's what you got that evening. Listen to the starting lineup for the Celtics. Dino Raja, Dana Barros, local kid, Dana Barros, who, by the way, was 0 for 9 from 3 that particular evening. Eric Montross, R.I.P., Rick Fox, and D. Brown. That was your starting 5. Basically, 3 guards and 2 bigs. Boy. But the bench was Todd Day, David Wesley, Never Nervous Purvis, Eric Williams, Greg Minor, Doug Smith. I have 0 reference for you, sir. Doug Smith. Who in the hell are you? Wow. That was Doug Smith's final season in the NBA. He was 26. After playing 4 seasons for Dallas the previous 4 years. Something must have happened to Doug Smith. I don't know what, but something must, because he seemed like he was moderately serviceable at one point. But fell off the face of the planet. 94, 95. Ooh, Doug Smith. Let's do a deep dive on Doug Smith, shall we? See what's going on here with Doug Smith. Doug Smith. He was a 6'10 power forward. Oof. Out of Missouri. Number 6 overall pick of the Dallas Mavericks in 1991. Boy, I'm sure they regretted something in there. Who came after Doug Smith? Well, it's kind of a weak draft. Oh, look at that. 91? Oof. Boy, there ain't much here. Oh, Rick Fox was down there. Okay, yeah. Rick Fox at the end of the first round. Yeah, boy. Not a ton. Not a ton here. There was a lot of okay bench guys in 91. But after Doug Smith, Stacey Augmon played 15 years, Dale Davis, Chris Gatling. But selected directly after Doug Smith, Luke Longley, Bulls legend. Luke Longley. How about that? Anyways, that's a rabbit hole we shouldn't have gone down. But honestly, the best part about Dino Raja was, he was just a bit slovenly. These Central European guys that played in the early to mid 90s, they just looked doughy, did they not? And they all got drafted in the late 80s. That was the tough part. Drafted in the late 80s, but never actually came over. And with Dino in particular, he had all kinds of like legal issues. Legal goings on, as I put in the script, between the Celtics and his original club in Yugoslavia. Lots of bad luck injury wise. And then Rick Pitino, who has there ever been a coach like in any of the local sports where you were sort of excited for his arrival and he just absolutely screwed the pooch? Rick Pitino fucked the Celtics. But in this instance, he literally lied, allegedly, straight to Dino Raj's face by trading him to the 76ers. Now, if you don't recall that, he never played for the Sixers, but he was traded to the Sixers. But he failed his physical. Some say purposely. I don't know how you would do that, but that's what some say. And then he went back to Europe, and he was there for played for another 7 or 8 years. But he is a basketball Hall of Famer for his international play, his European exploits. And then he's also married to a former Miss Croatia. So he's a legend. An absolute outright legend is Dino Raju. Now, the Bruins did not play. However, what you did get was the Hartford Whalers. Also timely because the Zombie Whalers are now in the Stanley Cup final, are probably going to win the Stanley Cup final. And quite honestly, that just makes me mad. Anytime a hockey team south of the Mason-Dixon line wins the Stanley Cup, I get annoyed. Dallas, Florida, Tampa, Carolina. Can't say Atlanta because they never won. But it's just like you suck. I hate it. But on this night, we had the Whalers and the previous incarnation of the Winnipeg Jets before they moved to after Winnipeg they went to Arizona, right? Arizona/Phoenix, Phoenix/Utah. There you go. And then Atlanta moved to Winnipeg. I think that's how it is. I'm telling you, the intro to basketball where they talk about teams moving around, the NHL nailed that one. But anyways, yeah. Whalers and Jets, two absolute juggernauts in 96. The matchup in net that particular evening was the great Sean Burke and the legend of the Genesis Classic NHL 94, Tim Shovelday, who happened to be traded to the Jets for an even bigger legend, the one and only goalie Bob Essence. How about that? Like, digging around in this shit is fun. So, anyways, this was the year before the Whalers left the mall and went to Carolina, where they still know nothing about hockey. This night, the Whale clawed back from a 2-0 hole after an opening goal from that fat fuck Keith Tkachuk. And they ended up winning the game 3-2. So many great names featured in this matchup. Shanahan, Solani, Jeff Sanderson, Kevin Dineen, Glenn Featherstone. I always thought Glenn Featherstone had a long neck. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. He might have worn like a neck roll. Maybe that's it. I don't know. There's also a young Sammy Kapanen, an even younger Shane Doan in his rookie year, the first season of his 52-year NHL career. Pretty awesome. I'm not sure if it was a Nesson game or not, because the game wasn't in Winnipeg, but who knows. The Nesson Whaler games were kind of great in like a really shitty way. Don't ask me to get specific, because I can't. I don't know. But there was some other hockey games that night, of course. There was a 6-5 Canadiens win over the Pittsburgh Penguins, in spite of Jaromir Jagr getting his 36th goal of the season on January 12th. And of course, Jagr has played 6 games this season in 2026 for the club that he owns. Raitiri Kladno. That's right, this season. He's only 53, so he probably has another year or two left in him. Nothing particularly exciting else happened in sports that evening, which is kind of a bummer. But, it's it is what it is, right? It's a Friday night in January. Like, what are you expecting? Let's try the old Pro Wrestling Wiki and see what comes up. January 12th, 1996. Oh, come on. 1996. Nope, not. 6. There we go. Nothing. No wrestling action that Friday night. That's disappointing, huh? Oof, boy. Anyway. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for, sports on this night. Which is kind of a shame. I was hoping for a little bit more when I spun the wheel and gave you a little something, but not much. We'll have to talk about some other stuff, and there was a lot. I mean, honestly, shit that I was doing, because I can almost guarantee I was working my part-time job this particular evening, so I'll talk about that, and we'll talk about some other shit. We'll talk about TV, movies. The movies are kind of meh. So we'll talk about music, we'll talk about movies, and yeah, stay tuned. All right. What the hell was that? All right. Dummy. Yeah, so TV, huh? How about that? Yeah, TV, that's something. Yeah, it existed in 1996, TV. And the highlight, of course, was ABC's TGIF. Remember TGIF? Boy, listen to the lineup. 8 p.m. Family Matters. 8:30 Boy Meets World. 9 p.m. Step by Step, which I was never a fan of Step by Step. And then 9:30 Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I enjoyed Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I enjoyed that show. I found it funny. This was kind of, I would say, towards the end of TGIF, no? I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more research. But after Hanging with Mr. Cooper was 2020. We'll get to that in a second. Now, Family Matters was funny. Urkel was a thing. All right, yep, cool. But man, the old term for jump the shark, Family Matters jumped the shark. The minute Urkel stopped being Urkel, when he became, when he transformed himself into the cool guy, what was his name? Stephen Urkel, that's what it was, yeah. And then all of a sudden, the daughter there really likes Stephen Urkel. Come on. All right, that's it. End of the show. Done. Dunzo. Take it off the air. You've ruined it. Anytime, characters go through, do, random changes, the old amnesia gag, sometimes that would work in some shows. Mainly, soap operas and primetime dramas. Or somebody dies, or allegedly dies, who shot Mr. Burns, which was the takeoff on who shot JR, just 15 years later. Boy Meets World was good, mainly because of Topanga. That was pretty much it. Shout out Topanga. Again, Step by Step. Who was that? That was Suzanne Summers and The dude from Dallas, right? Wasn't that guy? Wait, wasn't he on Dallas? Hold on. Step by Step sitcom. Let's see. Who was the guy? Patrick Duffy, right? Yeah, Patrick Duffy. Dallas. Oh, that's great. Yeah, he was on Dallas. Or was he on like, yeah, okay. No, he was on the show. Bobby Ewing. Got it. Wow. I mean, we shouldn't be talking about Dallas. It's just not good. But anyway, Step by Step was on for 7 seasons? Come on. Are you serious? Wow. That's terrible. Oh, we got 2 Dallas references. 3 if you want to count the Cowboys. All right, let's go. Huzzah. But 2020. Now let's talk about 2020, right? If you're my age, which is late 40s, not yet 50, obviously 2020 was a serious news magazine program. Remember those? Remember news magazines? Where, extended stories. Multiple extended stories over the course of 60 minutes. Hence the term news magazine. 2020, though, to me, represented old. 2020. Like, Barbara Walters was weird. Her cadence was odd. Her voice was weird. Like, her eyes were weird. Her mouth barely moved. She was an odd duck, Barbara Walters. Yet she had a very long career on television. And it makes you wonder, right? Like, what were the requirements to get on television in the 50s, right? Did you just have to kind of show up and think that it was a viable medium? Or even if you didn't think it was a viable medium, did you just need to be there? Because that's every backstory that you hear about these people that were on TV for 40 fucking years. It was like, oh, well, they showed up to the studio that day and, they were really just kind of looking for another job to supplement their radio income. Hence, Hugh Downs. Hugh Downs was a radio guy. And, did not even know what television was when he first showed up to audition for a television role back in the 50s. Just like an announcer kind of thing. But 2020 was a very serious program with very serious TV presenters. And like the thought is, oh, they probably really got after it when the cameras weren't on. Yeah, probably not. I don't know. These two, I don't think so. Especially Barbara Walters. There's no way. I bet she was the biggest prude, the biggest stick in the mud. I don't know. She probably fucking blew lines in the bathroom between takes. Who the fuck knows? Allegedly. But Hugh Downs was an interesting cat. Apparently a huge libertarian. So he probably spent way too much time talking about being libertarian, because that's what they do. He was also a big advocate for legalizing weed, and apparently said as much during his last appearance on 2020 in 1999. Now, this would be a very good spot to play the audio from that appearance. However, I don't think I legally can. Then again, I'm not monetizing this, so I mean, I don't know. Probably could have done that, right? The other thing too is finding some of this shit. I can find most of the information that I'm going to be sharing with you is going to come from Wikipedia. I'll be completely honest, because it is the single best source for information in the world. Anybody who tells you otherwise is fooling themselves. If you use AI to answer a question, where do you think they're getting that answer from? Wikipedia. Donate to Wikipedia. you laugh. But I'm telling you, you're on it multiple times a week. And how do you think that gets there? It's not fucking free. They only need a few bucks. Send them a few bucks. Anyway, yeah, so Hugh Downs. Another guy with a very distinct voice. He had a very radio voice. And he parlayed that into a long television career. "2020." And the other thing too is I never really I rarely got into watching episodes of 2020 because it was always about death. You know, the obsession with true crime and murder. It's not a new thing for the last 10 years. Like, this shit's been going on since at least the early 90s. All these fucking shows about murder. So, yeah. The number one movie in the country on the 12th day of January 1996 was 12 Monkeys. That movie was fine. If you say, "Oh my god, I love 12 Monkeys, it's great," yeah, you're probably a strange person. Because it's a strange movie. Number two, just losing out to 12 Monkeys, apparently, was the debut of "Don't Be a Menace in South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood." Fine film. Very funny. Spoof comedy. A genre which has died and is now allegedly making a comeback. Go figure. We can only hope. The number one song in the country was "One Sweet Day" by Mariah Carey. Meh, not for me. The number one song on the rock charts was either "Wonderwall" by Oasis or "1979" by the Smashing Pumpkins. Just depends on which chart you find. Billboard, historically the leader in music charts, they have the fucking balls to charge a monthly membership. What on earth would anyone be doing with paying for a monthly membership to Billboard? Now, admittedly, I didn't dive in to see what you would get for your $10 a month beyond just looking at old music charts. I don't see the benefit. As much as I would like to have access to old music charts, I don't have them because I'm not paying for it. What a fucking racket, huh? Like, get fucked, Billboard, you goddamn clown show. That is so stupid. But not as stupid as the people who might pay for that shit. And I'm sure there's a lot of them. There's enough that they keep it going, right? Oh, boy. So it was one of those two songs, which tracks, right? That's fine. I didn't, and I'm like purposely trying not to look beyond the actual date that I get here, because it kind of, it's a specific snapshot in time, and that's what we're doing, okay? So another specific snapshot for this day was I absolutely was working that evening at the Silver City Galleria. I can't talk. The Silver City Galleria in Taunton, Massachusetts. My place of employment was in the food court at an absolutely glorious place called Stuff and Turkey. Stuff and Turkey. That's right. Every time I talk about Stuff and Turkey, I laugh because the premise is just so. I can't even say dumb because while it is kind of dumb, it's kind of genius at the same time. Like, who the fuck doesn't love turkey sandwiches, right? Man, oh man. Like, it was such a vibe at that place. It was just so stupid. The best part is I know everybody has stories like this, right? About their jobs in high school. I was a high school senior in 1996. And the job that I had was working at a fucking turkey sandwich restaurant, maybe 10 to 12 hours a week. Like, cause that's all the hours they gave me. Because of course, how much money could a turkey sandwich place be making at a mall food court? Turkey sandwiches, turkey dinners, and then like turkey-based products. So for example, we had a turkey meatloaf, which actually was not bad. But man, the sandwiches were fire. Like they were so fucking good. Like it was legit real turkey. And this shit came in like sliced, seasoned, delicious. It was so fucking good. I would do just about anything to go back and be able to make one of these sandwiches again because they were that good. But the whole thing was just so fucking dumb. At one point, there were 9 of these things. 9. The guy who owned it, his first name was Alan. I can't remember his last name. And that's the part that's killing me because I can't find any information about it. I can see it like listed in the Galleria like flyer, paper flyer that's posted online. That's it. That's all I can find. I can't find any images. I can't find anything, and it's driving me bonkers. I haven't asked AI. Maybe I should do. Let's try that. Let's try asking AI if they can find anything about, let's see. So can you find any information on a mall food court restaurant called Stuff in Turkey that existed in the mid 90s? Question mark. Working at the mall though at that age, it's fucking cool as hell. Like, honestly, think about it. Cool as hell. Because that's what everybody did. Right? That's what everybody did. They went to the mall. Hung out at the mall. I did that. Anybody who says that they didn't, get fucked. You're lying. All right, AI doesn't know shit. I'm not finding any results for Stuff in Turkey. That sucks. They found a modern soul food restaurant called Stuff My Turkey in Las Vegas. Yeah, but that's not accurate, so pound sand. Let's see. It was at the Silver City Galleria in Taunton, Mass. Yeah, they're not going to find anything. That's disappointing. Anyways, it was a fucking cool job. It really was. And it was me, at least, I want to say there was probably like 6, 17 to 18-year-old girls. And that was it. And the reason for that is because the guy that ran the place was a dude named Ernie. And Ernie was an absolute fucking trip. Ernie had a thing for the early 40s woman who worked there, also worked there. And apparently they ended up shacking up. Now, the problem is that Ernie was probably in his mid-50s, but he looked like he was fucking 72. He had false teeth that struggled to stay in his mouth when he talked, which was pretty gross. But that dude was a fucking trip. Ernie. Shout out Ernie. Like shaggy white hair, like he might have been in the army, I think, in the like post Vietnam. Like he didn't go to Vietnam, at least I don't think he did. But I think he served for a bit. And he talked about it every now and again, and but man, what a weird guy. And it was like, so it's me, long-haired fat Dave at the time, right? And like 6 absolute drop-dead, beautiful, gorgeous high school girls. It was fucking great. And I had to get there, mind you, in the '84 Cutlass, Oldsmobile Cutlass Calais, which was occasionally known as the Twatmobile, and not because of what you might assume an 18-year-old fat long-haired Dave would get into at that time, because it certainly wasn't twat. It's because my dear friend Matt carved the word twat into the plastic seats on the back of my front seats. The front seat, there was like plastic, like a hard plastic covering of the seat, and he took a nickel and carved the word twat in it, because, that's kind of a funny thing to do when you're 17 years old. Thinking about it now, it's funny. Like back then, boy, was I pissed. I didn't know who did it. And I ended up blaming somebody else, which is the worst part, because I should have known. But yeah, there was a hole in the gas tank of the Oldsmobile, so I could only fill it up halfway, which was fine. It was about $10 to put fucking gas in my car every week. That's funny. All right, let's see. No, that's not what I want. This thing stinks. You're a fucking clown. Note to self, like, AI is useless. Like, this is why this thing's not gonna go anywhere. Like, I worked at this fucking restaurant and AI is telling me it didn't exist. Clown show. Anyway. But yeah, stuff and turkey. Another fun story I like to talk about with stuff and turkey. And look, very well, I may have done this on this particular evening, Friday, January 12th, 1996. I could have been tasked by the neighbor of Stuff and Turkey. There was a gentleman who owned a place called Roly Boly. Roly Boly, man, how this is not a thing now. It's like these thin, like calzones, and he had a like a conveyor belt oven in his little thing, and he used to give out samples. Like the amount of fucking roly bolies I ate at Anyways, he would occasionally ask me to come wash dishes for him after work, and he would give me $50, and that was more than I made in actually working a shift at Stuff and Turkey. But the $50, I should have charged him double. This motherfucker cooked like the dipping sauce in this gigantic vat, and I had to clean. I had to literally just scrape this goddamn thing. Oh, it was so gross, but cool at the same time. $50 cash. Hey, come on by. It was cool. So yeah, that was that. January 12th, 1996. Now, as again, this is just a pilot, right? So the goal here is to make it sound okay, have some format. Like Mike keeps saying, don't be afraid of the hour, which is fine. I mean, and I won't be afraid of the hour if I had enough content. Like, I don't have enough content for this particular day. I mean, I literally talked about fucking Stuff and Turkey for 10 minutes. So, kind of gives you an idea of there are going to be days where I'm really grasping at straws. And this is kind of one of those days, But I don't know. I need to figure out a way to give a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a little bit more context to these episodes, right? I need a little bit. I don't know what I need. I keep saying I need. But what I do need is like if you listen to this again, please, I would love some feedback. Like, how does this sound? Any ideas, any suggestions for like different segments or literally different anything? Like, let me know. I'm going to start, I'm going to like post a little snippet video on Instagram. I'm going to then post the actual episode on all the various platforms, iHeartRadio, YouTube. What's the other ones? Spotify, Apple, blah 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 blah. All of those that don't make me jump through hoops to post an hour of shitty content. I think I got up to like 50 minutes or something like that today, which is not so bad. But I didn't talk about much other than, Hugh Downs, turkey sandwiches, and Dino Raja. That does not make a good podcast. Let's be honest. And I am nothing if not honest. So, all right. So listen, again, thanks so much for sitting with this for however long this turned out to be. I appreciate it. Please pass your feedback on. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything I should be doing different. Let me know how it sounds. And most of all, let me know if you actually enjoyed it or if you thought it was dog shit. Because I need that too, all right? So, so that's it. As always, please take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta-ta.